It's a very interesting video and a very insightful video as well. I just want to actually kind of chime in and give my opinion about a lot of the things that you actually talked about in your video. Again, I'm not trying to come across as actually being argumentative or combative or anything like that. I just want to be able to just express my take on a lot of the issues that you brought up in your video. I don't know how long this video is going to take because, again, I don't know how much I'm going to actually have to say, so I'm just going to just go with the flow. And I may have to break this up in parts because, again, I'm away from my computer and I'm only shooting this from my phone. So I'll just go ahead and put that out there. But for the most part, a lot of the things that you said in your video about the black community, or in your words, as you put it, the so-called black community, I really am not going to argue with that. I mean, you did make a lot of valid points. And really, a lot of the points that you made, I mean, you can't really pick an argument with that. The only thing that I actually want to add to that entire video, or I should say that I want to interject, or actually give my way of understanding what your video is all about, is the fact that, at least from my interpretation, you want to make it a conscious effort on your part to really distance yourself from the black community. Now, either way it goes, I mean, that's your choice. I mean, you can live your life the way you want. But my thing about it is that it doesn't matter how you try to distance yourself from something, you're going to always be surrounded by that thing that you're trying to distance yourself from. Now, there are some people out there in society that do ridiculous things that, bring discredit upon themselves, not, much less their race. But we have to understand is that black folks are not the only ones that are out there committing crimes, that are bringing down property values, that are going out there doing ridiculous things. You have a lot of other races that are doing these things as well. The only difference is that you don't actually see them being popularized as much on social media, such as YouTube and, Facebook and all of these other things that we use sometimes to get our information. We also have to really understand as well is that the media does not actually give you the full story of everything that you hear. They only give you bits and pieces of what they want you to know, for you to be able to, I guess, go out and fill in the rest using your imagination. But we have to really make a conscious effort and really be careful about the message that we send out to others when we're talking about issues within our own communities. One thing that I actually learned about the behaviors of folks in general is that anytime someone sees you actually berating and actually talking evil and trashing someone else, it teaches them that it's okay for them to do it as well. Even if they don't even have a gripe about it, or if they don't even have any firsthand knowledge of a situation or a person. The fact that you would sit there and actually keep doing it, and not only you, but other folks too, they post videos about, issues regarding black community and the downfall, it's going to teach them that it's okay for them to do it as well. We had a lot of people that wanted to get upset about the Paula Deen incident where she, inadvertently referred to blacks, as niggers and everything like that. But in her defense, the only reason she did that is because we, as black folks, tend to call our own the N-word. So was she justified in doing that? Well, it depends on who you ask. But my whole point is the fact about it is that even though black folks, do have a lot of issues that we have to handle in-house, it's not okay to actually go online and actually popularize or try to capitalize off of that. And I mean, you can look at it and say that's not what you're doing. I mean, and to each his own, that's your personal opinion. Just like I'm allowed to give my personal opinion about, what you view or interpret to be as true, within the so-called black community, as you state. One thing that I've actually noticed also is that we tend to focus a lot on the negatives and not really much on the positives. As we know, a lot of times, there's a lot of things that we use every day to keep us, up and functioning in our everyday lives that was actually created by the hands of black folks. Most notably out here in society and, in hospitals, on the streets and everything else. The only difference is that even now that we actually was the ones that actually made those things, white society actually wanted to take credit for it. Is it right? No. But hey, you learn to deal with the punches. We as black folks have really been under the scum of a lot of people's shoe, not so much because of that, it's because of, it's not so much because of that being as fact, it's because of how we view ourselves. And see, the many times that you actually view videos and everything telling you about what you're not going to be, what you're always going to be, you will never amount to such, and everything like that. If you keep saying it long enough, chances are we're going to begin to really adopt that way of thinking. And when we begin to adopt that way of thinking, we begin to behave in that particular way as well. There's a lot of videos that tend to focus on the issues in the black community. And the funny thing about it is that if you want to make a video that'll get a lot of views, you can always pick on something safe as, the dysfunctions and the issues that's going on in the black community. That and homosexuality and all these other things. Those are what I call safe topics that really generate a lot of views here on YouTube. And you have a lot of people that want to stay in that safe realm and make videos because of that, because they know that it's a hot topic and a lot of people really want to hear your take on it. That's the reason why I think a lot of people really keep making videos about that. I've sat there and I watched a lot of your videos, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of your videos are very informational. I look at it and I'm like, well, he has a lot of points, but maybe he's a bit biased in some things. That's just me talking personally. Nothing against you. I'm just talking about your content in your videos. But my thing about it is that how many times are you going to keep saying the same message? You can only say the message only so many times, and in the end, it's really going to begin to lose its punch. We as black folks in America already know that we have a lot of cleaning up to do. And it's a sad part about it is that we have a lot of black folks that don't really care about how other folks see them. They're going to continue to behave and do things that they want to do, which will further, I guess, degrade who we are as black folks. And that's the unfortunate part about it. But just because one person wants to act a fool doesn't mean that I should be judged based on what that person has done. Judging someone on the content of their character is something that Martin Luther King spoke on, and really we have to really go back and revisit that. Because we have a lot of people here on YouTube that like to speak out of context, and it generates a lot of controversy, which of course is something that we as black folks like. We love controversy. We like to tell it like it is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it doesn't matter what you say, I know I'm right. Well, again, it depends on your take and your purpose for what you're doing. You have a lot of people actually that post videos, but the sad part about it is that they don't post videos on the subject of black folks for the right reasons. They're not doing it for a way of educating and actually bringing awareness. They're coming from a bad place when they do these videos because they want to generate views. Now, am I saying that you're doing that? No. But again, I've seen a lot of videos where people who actually use that same style that you're using, and they engage in these verbal conflicts and everything because they already know that some knucklehead is going to go ahead and see the video and they're going to have something inappropriate to say, which of course on your end is going to further validate you to do another video or to make a comment about, that substantiating what you just said in your video previously. YouTube is a great place to actually go and really generate, ideas and really engage in, how other folks are thinking. But we have to understand is that we should not use this thing called YouTube and social media to beat up on our own. Yes, we cannot ignore, and I'm not suggesting that you do ignore anything that's going on for us black folks, because again, even though you may not be them that's committing crimes and going out there acting the fool, unfortunately, they do represent us. And the sad part about it is that we have to stop focusing and stop giving the limelight on bad behavior. Because really, when you speak about these type of things, you're actually, in their mind, you're rewarding their behavior. And that's a sad thing, is that anytime you try to actually bring light or truth or actually trying to bring clarification, and you do so in a condescending manner, and again, that's, my interpretation, but I can be wrong. And like I say, I'm not trying to, engage in some sort of verbal conflict because that's not how I roll. You're going to, really get into some issues with people because they're going to look at it and see that for the most part, you're trying to, I guess what, as you stated, a lot of people called you an Uncle Tom, and that's fine. That's their opinion. But you can't really sit there and keep saying the same thing so many times because, again, it's going to begin to really lose its punch. We as black folks, we do have a lot of things that we need to work on. But we have to work on it in a way of love and understanding and not actually trying to condescend and downgrade and most importantly, try to separate yourself from being black or amongst other black folks.